Many still don't take YouTube boxing and influencers seriously, but this video will convince everyone that these guys are not inferior in entertainment and brutality to professional boxing. Buckle up and get some popcorn, because you will witness the best knockouts. 10th place. Austin McBroom's fight against a man who had 40 street fights is a perfect example of karma in boxing. If you want a video about karma in YouTube boxing, hit a like and write a comment about it. This knockout is one of the most technical in this list, because without hesitation, Austin bursts into the fight range with a jab to the head. After accurate jabs, McBroom throws out a lot of feints and constantly changes the pace of his movement. Bryce was confused after such attacks. Because of this, Hall decided to stand and wait for the counterattack. He wants to catch the opponent with his timing. He managed to make brawls in which it's noticeable that McBroom feels uncomfortable, so he decides to ignore exchanges and changes his tactics. McBroom puts up a high guard or attacks with a precise straight on the back foot. Austin's power weapon is his left straight, with every left punch causing Bryce's head to touch his back. He hit Hall straight on the head a lot of times, which led to knockdowns and a knockout midway through the third round. Yes, here the opponent did not fall on the canvas, but the speed, smoothness, and beauty of McBroom's attacks deserve a place in this video.
Sorry, McBroom won, but I don't like
Ninth.
because yeah.
Sorry, cats. Tech now has multiple lives too. Choose refurbished.
Warning, content triggers salvation is
Let's keep doing
50% off
video
when you spend 25 pounds. What the?
Thoughts after Austin
10th place.
versus
Now we'll talk about a knockout which is important not from the point of view of performance or brutality, but importance for the entire.
Let me check.
Entirety of YouTube boxing. In 2018, we saw the first influencers fight in the history of Western YouTube. KSI versus Joe Weller. When the fight began, Joe started well. His jab was on point and he managed to keep his distance. However, JJ quickly adapted and began to throw a hail of jabs at his opponent and then added power punches. Power punches turned into legendary combo windmills, and by the third round, Joe's face was destroyed. Such a beatdown could not continue, because of which the referee stopped the fight. Yes, it wasn't flashy KO, but the fact that KSI and Weller decided to brawl and fight was stopped via TKO. This showed to everyone that influencers are not scared of trading punches, and their fights are entertaining. 8th place. We've seen a few knockouts to the head, but we haven't seen knockouts in the body yet. The most unique kind of knockouts occurred in the fight between FaZe Sensei and Overflow. In this fight, fighters were protected with helmets, which makes the possibility of a knockout in the head more difficult. Therefore, Sensei used the best tactic for such conditions. He focused on the body work, so it'll be easier to knock out the opponent. You also need to consider that they are new to sports, and cardio for everyone is a problem. Everyone gets tired in their first fights. So FaZe Sensei hastened this process with attacks to the body. As a result, we saw a brutal and very cunning knockout to the body, for which FaZe Sensei gets this spot in our list. 7th place. At this place, a knockout of the most legitimate YouTube boxer, Jake Paul. By the way, get used to him in this video. He has a lot of knockouts. Let's start with the fight against Nate Robinson, who is one of the most unique athletes in the world. Despite his height, he has played in the best basketball league in the world, the NBA, for many years. This was reflected in the fight. In the first minutes, despite the nervousness of both fighters, Robinson looked much faster. Both fighters were connecting with punches, but by the end of the first round, it was noticeable that Nate's rapid, explosive actions were reflected by his cardio. Now his rapid distance cutting became more noticeable, thanks to which Paul was able to knock him down. And in the second round, he finished the job, knocking out Nate Robinson into the meme world. It was the first YouTube boxing KO that opened that Pandora's meme box.
The way he felt as well.
6th place. The fight we're going to talk about now is arguably the best fight in the history of YouTube boxing.
The what?
Talk about now is arguably the best fight in the history of YouTube boxing. Austin McBroom against Anison Gibb. We have a detailed analysis of the fight on the channel, and we recommend that you watch. This matchup was a classic rivalry of athleticism against willpower. McBroom immediately showed everyone in the first round that his speed, explosive strength, and athleticism were on another level. After a couple of successful attacks, he managed to knock Gibb down. It would seem that this is the end, and soon Austin will score a knockout and fulfill his dream to get into this video with 2 knockouts. But the problem is that part of this knockdown is Gibb's fault. He blocked his visibility with a high guard, because of which he did not see the blow. And as we know, blows that are not visible are most often the ones that can send a body to the canvas. This moment instilled confidence in Austin, and he wanted to finish off his opponent quickly because he was going to run out of steam. On the contrary, Gibb mentally didn't break and activated his berserker mode. He began to methodically break Austin. This resulted in an epic comeback. Anison managed to score a couple of knockdowns, but that wasn't enough, and he knocked Austin out. 5th place. At this place, there is a real brawl, which in terms of action is not inferior to professional boxing. So we need suitable music for this metal fight. We are talking about the fight between FaZe Jarvis and Michael Lee at the first Social Gloves event. This show gave us a lot of spectacular moments and knockouts, but this fight brought everything together. From the first second, it's clear that one of these guys will meet the final bell unconscious. Michael starts the attack, but FaZe immediately shows that he does not have a brake pedal, which is why we see a wild brawl. Michael took the initiative, but as soon as Jarvis learned how to dodge his opponent's attacks and counterattack with the overhand, everything changed. With the same punch, FaZe knocked Michael down. Lee wasn't going to back down and was constantly pressuring, but a second knockdown at the end of the round gave FaZe even more confidence. So he started the second round strong, dodging another combination and on...
With the new Google Pixel 7 Pro, Super Res Zoom gets you closer to the action than ever, while Macro Focus captures even the tiniest details, all thanks to Google's triple camera system on Google Pixel 7 Pro. Pre-order Google Pixel 7 Pro and get the new Pixel Watch on us.
I can't even skip this one either. Are you kidding me? I don't want to watch this. What the hell is this?
Here, what's the situation?
Looking at the breach.
Okay, you need to rotate the baby.
Well,
The hell?
push.
Oh, well done, Mum.
What the hell just happened?
Trust Vodafone to keep them connected.
Are they just...
On the way out of the clinch, Jarvis knocks Michael down. Let's rewatch this metal KO and then move on. 4th place. Now you'll see a YouTuber who moves like a snake and attacks just as venomously. We're talking about a knockout in the fight of Slim against FaZe Temper. In the first round, we saw competitive exchanges, but over time it became noticeable that Slim, with his snake-like feints, took the initiative. The fact is that such strange body and shoulder movement is an original way to hide defensive and attacking actions. The opponent doesn't understand whether Slim will move forward with a jab, sidestep for a counterattack, or throw heavy straight. By the way, if you want to see a breakdown of Slim's technique, write a comment about it. It's because of snake-like movements that Slim so often connected with the jab and powerful straight. At the end of the exchanges, he entered the clinch so as not to eat unnecessary blows. Having accustomed Temper to the fact that he clinches for protection, In the second round, Slim struck a powerful punch on the way out of the clinch. Seeing that this rocked the opponent, he, like a real cold-blooded predator, decided to finish off the victim. And he did it beautifully, finishing off FaZe with that whipping punch. And let's be honest, it's time for Slim to change his nickname, Hitman, to Snake. Third place. Before the fight against... Thanks, Uncle Snoop, but let's be more respectful. Before the fight against Askren, no one expected that Jake would want to fight against real fighters. He's fought only influencers and athletes. But a fight with a fighter is a completely different thing. Although Askren was not a good striker, he had good cardio and he knew how to take damage. Therefore, the opinions of many experts agreed that Ben would simply survive the early storm and simply exhaust Paul. But on the day of the fight, everything was completely different. Ben did not even have time to warm up before Jake Paul knocked him out. He did it so easily and without coercion that many people began to get interested in his next fights. And if you are interested in a skill breakdown of Jake Paul, you can find it on this channel. Second place. If you have questions, you can go to my personal Instagram. Link in the description. Let's hit the pause button here. Just by watching stances of fighters, it's clear who will KO whom, but you cannot even imagine how spectacular it will be. It seems that after the bell, the spirit of Manny Pacquiao has enslaved Salt Poppy. A couple of feints to check what the opponent will throw in fighting distance, and Salt Poppy is ready to impress everyone. He throws a jab.
Why is it so bad?
Jab to pull.
Now look, he's still.
Pull his opponent's arms forward and hits a powerful left hook. After that, we see a Street Fighter combo, and the opponent is knocked out. One of the fastest and most brutal knockouts in the history of YouTube boxing. It was so fast that we need to rewatch this brutal poetry in motion. Do you think Salt Poppy is ready for serious fighters like KSI? First place. In the first fight between Jake Paul and former UFC champion Tyrone Woodley, Jake won by decision. However, that victory was overshadowed by Tyrone's punch, a punch that nearly knocked Jake out. So the rematch was supposed to put an end to whether that punch was luck or whether Jake was lucky enough to be near the ropes and survive. The first fight was not spectacular, but comparing it to the rematch, it seemed like a real blockbuster. The viewers in the arena and in front of the screens were already falling asleep. And out of nowhere, Jake Paul delivers a powerful hook that knocks out the former UFC champion. It's worth noting that this is the first time in Woodley's life that he was KO'd with one punch. This hook put Woodley to sleep and woke everyone in the arena and the whole world up, because this is the best knockout in the history of YouTube boxing. What do you think is the best knockout in the history of YouTube boxing? Write in the comments. By the way, if you are a fighter or a YouTube boxer, write to us if you want us to analyze your technique or the technique of your opponent.
Okay.